Hello, and welcome to Module 6, Teaching Phonics Step by Step. In Module 5, you built the foundation. Students learned how letters work, how sounds connect to print, and how to use a consistent routine to master each new letter. Now in Module 6, we're going to take the next step, and students will begin working through the rest of my scope and sequence. This module will show you how to teach each new phonics skill using a predictable, research-aligned routine. You'll learn how we move from learning letters to learning blending, word building, high-frequency word mapping, and decodable reading, all within a lesson structure that stays consistent from day to day. As always, here's your reminder that this module pairs with the Kickstart to Phonics Teacher Guide. This guide is available in my Teacher Pay Teacher store for free. The link to the guide is in the comments below. Just like in letter learning, organization matters. Before each lesson, you're going to gather your supplies discussed in Module 5, and your sound wall continues to be a powerful anchor. In Module 5, it helps students learn mouth formation for letters. In Module 6, it becomes a tool for teaching digraphs, blends, short vowels, long vowels, and much more. All my phonics resources are available in my Teacher Pay Teacher store. I have them linked below. Just like the letter learning lesson plan, the phonics lesson plan comes in two forms, a daily version on the left and a weekly version on the right. The phonics lesson plan also includes 5 major components that will sound very familiar to you, and each one appears in a specific place on the template so teachers can follow the routine with clarity and consistency. The 5 parts of the lesson are cumulative review, explicit teaching, high-frequency words, which are optional depending on the day, connected to text, and dictation. Now let's look at each part of the lesson more deeply. In the cumulative review, there is a warm-up portion of your lesson plan. It is fast, it's predictable, and it's designed to strengthen automaticity with previously taught sounds, patterns, and high-frequency words. You will not do every activity every day. Instead, you choose the routines that best prepare students for the new phonics skill. Here is a breakdown of each activity and what it includes, and why a teacher might choose it. With the phonemic awareness warm-up, this is a quick oral routine that strengthens students' ability to hear and manipulate sounds without the use of print. Some options include oral blending, oral segmenting, or orally isolating vowel sounds to give more practice and support, or orally isolating other sounds, as for an example in the picture on the screen, they're isolating which digraph sound they hear in words. Each phonics skill resource I have available on my Teacher Pay Teacher store has these activities available already created for you. Why would you choose to do phonemic awareness warm-ups? A student might need more practice hearing sounds before decoding, or a student might struggle with blends, digraphs, and vowel sounds and needs that support with oral development. You may want to use this warm-up for auditory processing systems before reading. Another option is the visual drill, which was talked about in Module 3 and again in Module 5 for letter learning. This is where you will display letters or graphemes, and the students will say the sounds immediately. Another option is the auditory drill. With auditory drill, the students do the opposite. The teacher will say the sound, and the students will either write the sound or point to the sound or the graphemes that represent that sound. In the blending drill, this becomes a very powerful routine to start doing once more letters and spelling patterns are known. In this drill, students practice blending sounds to read real words. So you can use my sound deck cards and sounds that they have learned and digraphs they have learned You use those cards to produce real words, and the students practice blending those real words. Fluency grids is another option for students. These grids contain many boxes and rows of one word at a time. And those words are usually in a phonics pattern that has been taught recently or in previous lessons. So this just gives the students opportunities to practice decoding words and building their fluency in patterns already known. Another option to choose from is high frequency word review. So you can use my high frequency word cards, or you can use high frequency word games that I have available that will help them practice the fluency in building automaticity to high frequency words they have already learned. Another option is to bring out decodable books or decodable text that students have already learned or already read. So I like to keep all of the decodables that students have read with me in a box or a folder. And those can be retrieved for cumulative review practice during this time. And the last option could be you could have a deck of word cards of phonics patterns that students have already learned and just quickly flash those word cards, and that could be another practice of automaticity and accuracy. The next part of the lesson plan is the explicit teaching of the core, and it's the core part of the phonics lesson plan. This is where students learn the new phonics pattern through visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and other pathways. You will follow a predictable routine each day and adjusting the time spent on each part based on the student's needs. So the first thing you will do is you will explicitly introduce the new sound or spelling to the child or the group of children. You will explain what that sound represents. You will show them how to represent that sound in graphemes. You will pull out the sound wall card to discuss that. You will talk about the articulation of that sound and what your mouth looks like. You might pull out a mirror and show what your mouth looks like when you are saying that sound. You will write that sound. You will say that sound. Also, I have available lots of anchor charts or anchor posters that reinforce any phonics generalizations that will be for that new skill, and those are all available in my resources as well. So after you explicitly teach the sound, there are many options listed here on the chart to choose from to reinforce that skill. So again, you would only pick a few or one or two of these to do after you explicitly teach them. One of them being word chains. So for every phonics skill resource that I have examples of word chains, and I spoke about word chains back in Module 3 and how they work. And each resource gives you those already made word chains, so you don't have to create them. So you could have the kids use the word chain template I have with that resource, or you can just have them use magnetic letters or a whiteboard, and they practice writing those word chains that you are providing for them. Another option is all of my phonics resources have picture sorts. So you can choose to pull out, so say you're teaching TH and you've already taught SH. You could pull out SH pictures, you could pull out TH pictures, and you could have students work together to do a sort of which ones make the sh sound and which ones make the th sound. It's also important to add some time in for encoding that new phonics skill. So that's where the tap it, map it, write it piece comes into play. I have a tap it, map it, write it template you can use that if you put in a plastic sleeve, they can use dry erase markers over and over again. And this is where you practice mapping the sounds in different words. So say you are teaching SH and you want them to write ship and shop and wish and fish. You can practice tapping those sounds, then you map them with my sound boxes, and then they write them on the sound boxes. Another option is that you can choose from various games I have. I have lots and lots of games that come with every phonics skill, and you can choose one of those games to reinforce the reading or writing of that phonics skill. But again, you're going to explicitly teach every day, then you're going to pick a couple of these to reinforce what you just taught. Also in the phonics lesson plan is a high frequency word section, and this is where you're going to teach high frequency words that align with my scope and sequence. And a lot of times these words might appear in a decodable you're going to be reading later that day. So I sometimes do the high frequency word and I sometimes don't. It depends on if they're going to be approach or having those high frequency words in their decodable that day, then I will pre-teach them. So you're going to use the tap it, map it, write it routine that I showed you back in Module 3. And the picture on the right is an example of how I use a tens frame, which is typically used in math, to help map high frequency words. And I found these really cute heart magnets online that you can use to identify the part you need to know by heart. The next part is connected to text, and this is where students apply the new phonics patterns in a controlled decodable text. This is the moment when the phonics instructions really becomes real reading and they're applying it to real books and real text. So students see the new pattern in context, they practice decoding the words with that skill, and they work on building fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So with the connected to text, I have lots of different options with every phonics skill that I have resources for. You can choose as the instructor what kind of connected to text you want to provide for the students. And when we get to Module 7, I will go more in depth of how you might choose these different versions. But just to give you an overview of what I have word cards, I have blending lines, and you'll see the pictures all on the left of different examples of those. I have fluency grids, I have decodable sentences, and then I have a decodable text. And that decodable text comes in a mini book, and it also comes in a single sheet of paper too. So you can choose to make it into a book or just a one sheeter there. But like I said, I will go more into detail of how I can scaffold to get to that decodable text with students in Module 7. And then the final part of the phonics lesson plan is the dictation. And this is where students apply everything they learned during the lesson. They apply their phonemic awareness, their phonics pattern knowledge, their handwriting, their high frequency words, and I provide immediate corrective feedback for them. So it's important to note that dictation is not a spelling test. It's a teaching routine that helps students connect sounds to print in a supported and structured way. So with dictation, we may, like if you remember from the letter lesson, we did spelling the sound, a lot of that in dictation. Now we're spelling the sounds in words. So you can dictate words of that phonics feature that they are learning. You can dictate sentences, or you can dictate high frequency words that they have learned. And in my resources, I have a word list and dictation list. So you can go right to that word list, choose words that you want to dictate right from there, or you can choose sentences that have already been made for you, or you can go to your high frequency scope and sequence, high frequency word scope and sequence, and decide which words that you've already taught that you want to reinforce in the dictation. So this is really up to you what you think your children and your students need the most when it comes to practice with dictation. So now I'm going to go through a sample lesson, just like I did with the letter learning one, of what this would look like. And just like in the letter learning one, everything in red is what I would have added as a teacher. So in cumulative review, I'm going to pretend like I'm teaching a lesson on diagraphs. And I'm specifically going to be doing a lot of work with SH and TH. in this lesson. So in my cumulative review, I'm going to pick that I'm going to do a phonemic awareness warm-up with the students, and I'm going to use these poppets, which was one of the materials that I mentioned in Module 5. And the students are each going to get a set of poppets, and I'm going to orally say those words that I have listed in red: ship, wish, that, and with. And the students are going to practice segmenting the sounds and popping those sounds with the poppets, saying each of the sounds separately. Then I'm going to use my sound deck cards, and I'm going to do a visual drill of all of the letters and digraphs they've already learned, and mix them up and have them quickly automatically identify the sounds of all of those letters and digraphs. And then I'm going to do a little review of some high frequency words that they've already learned, and those I have listed there at the bottom. It's said, push, and wash. In my explicit teaching, I'm going to first explicitly teach TH and the sound that TH can make. And in this part, we're talking more about the voiced sound TH. And then I'm going to go over that and how we say it with our mouths, what our mouth looks like, what it looks like spelling wise, all of that. And then I'm going to reinforce it with some picture cards. And I'm going to have picture cards with TH on them, and we're going to go through them and talk about where we hear the TH in those words. And then I'm going to use the tap it, map it, write it, and we're going to spell those TH picture cards. And if we need those poppets, we will pull those into for that kinesthetic work. And then I am going to do a high frequency word. I'm going to teach the word wash, because wash is going to appear in our decodable text today. The decodable text you'll see in a minute is called Seth on the Path, and the word wash is going to be in that text. So we're going to go over that first. And the reason why I picked a wash is because if we say wash, wash, that A is sounding like is a little different there. And then we're going to go into our connected text, and we're going to go right into the decodable text, Seth on the Path. And I'm going to introduce this text. We're going to preview it a little bit, and then I can choose, do I want to chorally read it with them? Do I want them to echo read it? Do we want to do partner reading with it? I'm going to do that based on what my students' needs are. And then when it comes to dictation, I'm going to do some words in isolation, and then I'm going to do a sentence. And I like to, when I am doing a decodable text, I like to relate my sentence, especially back to the decodable. And I do, in the decodables, give you sentence examples to use to help with dictation when you're using those decodables. So I'm going to have them write the words wish, path, and math. And then I'm going to have them write the sentence wash in the bathtub. And that's going to reinforce the words I worked on today and the words they saw in their dictation. And then I'm going to just take some notes as I'm watching the students interact with the lesson today. And a couple notes I might make are, next time I'm going to do an SH-TH sound sort. And then I want to continue that mouth formation of TH, because maybe they're still struggling with getting that tongue to stick out when they're saying it. So this brings us to the end of Module 6, Phonics Instruction, step by step. So in this module, you learned how to organize your materials again, and how to use your sound wall to support mouth formation and spelling patterns, and how to teach each new phonics skill through a consistent research-aligned routine. You practice using picture sorts and tap it, map it, write it, and you can, other things you can add in there like word chaining to build strong decoding and encoding habits. We also talked about high frequency words and how to support students in applying new skills in decodable text, and how to use dictation and daily observations to guide your next instructional steps. So, Module 6 is really where students move from knowing letters to becoming readers, blending, decoding, writing, and applying phonics knowledge in a meaningful text. In Module 7, we'll shift our focus to the roadblocks that naturally appear during phonics instruction. You'll learn what to do when students need more phonemic awareness support before they can decode, or how to scaffold decodable text for students who struggle to blend, and how to adjust your routines when students confuse patterns, skip words, or rely too heavily on pictures. So, Module 7 is going to be all about troubleshooting and knowing how to respond when students get stuck so that every learner can move forward.